And hey there, welcome to WritersConnX Interviews, where we meet some Wattpad authors who are out there making waves. I'm your host, Rodney V. Smith, comedy horror writer, Wattpad star, and WATTY Award winner. Joining us this morning is Wattpad writer and star Kristi Elliot, also known as Cadence on Wattpad. Hi, Kristi.
Hi, how's
Now,
it going?
doing all right. I'm going to read from your bio, and we're going to get into the whole thing here. Okay, so. Kristi Elliot has always been passionate about writing and storytelling. She describes herself as a curious writer who loves exploring different themes and motifs, particularly social issues. As part of her writing process, she loves immersing herself in her projects, diving headfirst into the research, production, and fine-tuning of the stories she feels are the most worthy of telling. The most worthy of telling, huh? You really seek out your stories, huh?
I do. So my big issues that I like to dive into are actually mental health, wellness, and racial inequality, because I do come from a blended family. My step family was Mexican, so I do feel like it's important to show those issues for what they are. Good and bad alike. So that's important to me. And I think that I have a responsibility to share that with people.
Yeah, you've always struck me as someone who has a great sense of fairness, and you really love to,
Yes.
no, not love to, but you seem compelled to stand up for people who are who are actually struggling.
Yes. When I went to live with my dad when I was 16, my stepmom, like I said, she was Mexican. She was born here in the US, but there was a lot of racial profiling, especially when she got pulled over. They'd see her brown skin and go, "Are you American?" "Yes, I'm American." "Do you speak English?" "Well, obviously." And it would just keep going. And it bothers me because, obviously, if I were to go somewhere, they're not going to ask me any questions. But if it's my family, then they will. And I just believe I have a responsibility to reflect that in my writing and not just kind of whitewash it into some fantasy.
Okay, well, that the social issues are one thing, but it really makes me wonder, how does someone who writes these social issues, and you know you're such a big proponent of justice and everything, how do you go from that to writing the award-winning zombie soap?
So that actually started as this big joke. I didn't take that seriously at all when I wrote it. It was just something I was doing for fun because it was a zombie virus from generic soap. And some of my friends really got into it, so I just decided to keep going with it. And then I knew that my characters just couldn't stay static or, as I said before, whitewash. So I got some friends of mine to do some sensitivity reads for Diego's character, who is Hispanic. So I wanted to show a little bit of the Hispanic culture, where I got some people to help me translate some Spanish with different dialects to make it feel authentic.
Yep,
And
rather than
it
high
was
school Spanish.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I feel like the series has just kind of evolved as I've continued with it in the sequel. And once I finished it, it was just kind of there. I was like, okay, it's done. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's just here. And then when I entered it into the WATTYs in 2020, I had 3 other stories I had entered that I felt had a better shot. Everybody said, "Oh, enter zombie cell." Oh, no way. That story is weird. Really, really weird. Nobody would want this, but we had that pro writing aid promotion that year. So I said, okay, fine, whatever. So I ran it through pro writing aid, fixed a couple of things, and entered it literally the day before the deadline and said, okay, this is my entry. It's not going to go anywhere. And sure enough, that was the one that won my WATTY. So
I'm actually detecting a common theme here with some of the WATTY's winners. Well, this is not for every single one, but a lot of the stories that people have just written for just absolute fun and just poured their heart and just had a blast writing it. They seem to perform a little differently than the ones that go and slave over for days and really
Oh,
mean
yes,
something to the
yes.
core.
But something I did want to add to this is I'm not supposed to say this as the writer, having a favorite character, but Taylor, he is absolutely my favorite because he is autistic. He's on the spectrum, but I don't make a big deal out of it. It's part of his personality, and everybody thinks he is the least likely to survive, and like here he is just like a badass in his own way. I mean, he's not strong like everybody else, but he uses everything to his strengths, and I feel like the readers have really resonated with him as a character. So I did want to add that was something very important to me because I just love writing him so much. He writes himself, and his personality is just so vibrant, and I just wanted to add that as a writer, I don't think we should write autism as a one size fits all, but just write it as part of their personality. Don't make it into a big deal. And that's what I absolutely love about his character, and the readers do too.
Oh, brilliant. Well, let me just read from the synopsis so that everybody can get up to speed on what zombie soap is about.
Okay.
Okay, this is a short synopsis. A soap is supposed to be harmless, but when a pet ferret dies after eating some, a group of friends has doubts. When the ferret suddenly comes back from the dead and attacks them, they have an entirely new set of problems on their hands. Now, the long synopsis. Let's get this one. People have always figured. Okay, let's try again. People have always figured the apocalypse would come someday, but no one imagined it'd begin with a tainted batch of soap and a ferret. Not only do Jason and Taylor have to fight off the suddenly rabid animal, but things go from bad to worse when two of their friends find themselves trapped at work, staring down a gauntlet of ravenous soapies looking for the next living meal. Staying in the city isn't an option, and they know they have to regroup in order to escape to safety. The trip seems impossible with thousands of mindless soapies in the way, so they have to find allies and outrun enemies while looking out for each other. This apocalyptic tale of friendship and survival. This is book one in the zombie soap series. Does this mean you have another one coming?
I'm 33 chapters into book 2 right now.
Holy crud, nice.
And I don't know when I plan on ending that one. I'm just kind of meandering through at the moment, but that's the fun of first drafts. So get to write what I want on paper, and I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. And then eventually I will cut the unnecessary parts and cry a little bit, but make it prettier.
Well, well, you let's see. Well, you get to have as much fun as possible with it, and really develop the world, I guess.
Yes. Well, in the second
you
book,
oh,
what?
sorry. Go ahead. No, you go.
No, I was saying in the second book, the zombies do kind of take a back seat because they're trying to uncover the conspiracies they have about this. So we're getting to a point in the story now where the zombies are starting to make their comeback, but it's more kind of character reflection. It takes a more serious note, but I try to keep the comedy in there because it is still a story about soap causing the zombie virus.
Do you rate most of this offline or online?
A little bit of both. It depends. If I have to pick up my kids from school, I'll be writing in my car, but I always keep a backup copy somewhere. So that way I can write on the go, or whether I'm at home, I always have a place to write.
Are you one of those writers who actually write in the Wattpad app, or do you use something different? Just
I used to do it through the app, but things get lost that way sometimes. So I have learned to go through Microsoft Word, um, Google, or whatever it is I have on my phone right now. It's Microsoft Word. So yeah, I do write in there first. It gives me a chance to also set it down, proofread, edit a little bit, and then post a more polished copy.
okay. So all the new chapters are currently on Wattpad.
Yes, yes. Currently everything's on Wattpad at the moment.
Okay, cool.
I
Well,
just posted an update yesterday.
for Zombie Soap Book One, this is one of the responses, well, one of the critiques, I suppose, is polished, intriguing. This captivating zombie story really lets you connect with the characters, and the storytelling is quite engaging. We enjoyed this a lot. This is someone from the Watties, is uncredited, but it's the
Yeah,
Watties.
that's what they sent me in my feedback email. So
I would have
when
loved to, I would love to know who actually said that one, or, unless it was like a whole staff opinion.
no, it came straight from the Watties team. Believe me, I looked. I
Oh,
tried to find a name, tried to tattle on somebody.
okay. Well, tell us one of your favorite parts about writing this book.
Just the fun, the freedom to have so much fun with it and not care what comes out, because again, it was written as a joke. So in chapter 7, it's either 6 or 7, Jason and Taylor, they are playing soapy bowling. Basically, they're in Jason's F-150 and they're driving down the road and they're just bowling over zombies, and they are singing "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen. And I keep telling myself, okay, that's so weird, I need to just take it out. But then the readers, they comment on it and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I'm like, oh god. And then they're like, no, don't pull it out. And then I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. But it is fun because, again, you're not thinking about all those filters that you would normally do in your more artsy stories. This was just something that was pure fun. And then I just kind of went off reader reactions and I kept things based on that, or I took things out based on negative feedback.
Okay.
So adapted to my audience, I guess. But that is my favorite part of writing the story, is just those funny little scenes. And that was my favorite scene in the entire book.
Well, you've really covered your favorite character. Tell us a little bit about editing. Did you have to do any editing after you won the WATTY, or how much editing did you do for the WATTYs besides the pro writing aid?
Not much. I mean, I went into this where I made a couple of little changes here and there, where if I felt like I needed more characterization somewhere, I would add a couple of paragraphs, or I would change a scene to fix the pacing. But otherwise, there really was almost no editing that went into this aside from the pro writing aid cleanup. But then after the WATTY, the only thing I fixed were typos, but it has essentially stayed the same since 2020. I have not changed anything plot wise.
All right. Okay. So, now one of the cool things about Wattpad is you actually mentioned this already about the readers, but do you have like any favorite commenters or readers that really stood out that helped the whole process?
Are we talking about just on zombie soap, or?
Yeah, well, on zombie soap or pretty much any stories. 'Cause I know how readers do tend to follow you, so it's you will have a favorite reader who will go after every single thing you write, and they'll be commenting, or they'll just be someone who comes up and just gives you this brilliant review.
Well, Winter Sleep 85, she is a fellow star. She's actually my best friend on the platform. And she will go in and read everything, even when I tell her, no, don't worry about me, I write too much. And she will go in and she leaves these epic, like, 3-part comments, and she makes me feel like a queen. She's amazing.
Well, you should feel like a queen, so soak it up.
But I like the ones, though. I mean, aside from the fact that Winter really is my best friend in the world, I love her so much.
Who's the best friend in the world?
You're a very, very, very close second, but
Yeah,
she really is my best friend. So
I'll take that, and Winter can continue to rule.
loyalty to the end. Okay, so I have other readers, though, ones that I'm not really in Discord with or in stars with, but I see them and I love their comments, because they will come in, especially when they go in and defend Taylor. He is like universally loved. I was told in a comment 2 weeks ago, I can't remember how this started, but I said, you do realize I hold his fate in my hands, right? And she says, hurting him is illegal. I will effing come after you. And that is basically the response of all of my readers is, why are you so mean to him? Why are you hurting him? Why are you doing this? Oh my God, I hate you so much. Be mean to anybody else. And those are my favorite comments because they are so emotionally invested in his character.
Okay. What are like some of you, like you have like a bunch of other stories on Wattpad. You want to talk about any of those? Like, what's your, because you have 15 published stories here. You got, yeah, there's
Stop.
the Zombie Soap books. Yeah, and you have the Aurora, Endeavor. Like, which one of these is your absolute favorite?
Well, if we're going on the ones that I currently have posted on Wattpad, it would be the Aurora Endeavor. I did this for ONC this year, Open Novella Contest, which is currently in its third round. I think the entries close in a few days. So I did this as a way to try something different this year. I normally write romance or paranormal, but this was very different. I've never done anything in the disaster genre, but it is one of my favorite genres to watch. So my character, she is a LGBTQ lead. There's no romance in this story, and she is the only female bridge crew officer aboard the Aurora Endeavor, which is an adventure cruise going to the Arctic from the coast of Greenland. So disaster strikes. You know how these movies go. There's like all the action, people trying to stay alive, and then the ending where we find out if people survived or not.
Well, someone has to survive. How's the whole ONC thing going for you right now?
It's going great. So when the prompts came out, I knew that I wanted something more structured this year. I'm normally a pantser where I write whatever, but I wanted some more structure this year, because especially with the disaster genre where you really do need kind of a plan going forward. So it was like chapter 1, inciting incident, chapter 2, what leads to the next event. And it was a very loose outline, but it was enough that I knew, okay, I need to get from one inciting incident to the next big incident to the next big incident to the next and the next and the next, without kind of just straying off the beaten path like I like to do. And then I also planned out my 3 characters. Ashley Taylor goes by Ash. Everybody loves her. They make a lot of fun comments. She was the second character I planned, even though she's the main character. Her best friend Jax, he is the chief security officer, and I planned him out first. And then there was Captain Shaw, who I planned out as a third character who's kind of important. But then we had this other character. Everybody calls him Mr. Pelican. You'll find out if you read the first chapter why. And he was never actually planned as a main character. He was just kind of somebody I opened the novella with, but then readers kept expecting him to come back, so I brought him back, and it was so much fun. I love the comments, and they're just really, really funny because this guy has no boundaries or anything. So it's been fun. I'm done with the novella. I took 3 days to polish it, and I submitted it last week, I believe.
Okay, well, at least you're having some fun with this one, with a whole wide range of characters. Well, how does it feel to do the genre hopping, going from romance to what is the genre? Comedy?
Well, yeah, okay, I guess you could say I'm a comedy writer because I have comedy in everything I do, but I just really, really wanted to do something different this year. And I love disaster movies. I really do. But then I hate it when they skimp on characterization just to put all the action scenes in. So I made sure I had a little bit of everything in there, tried to make it well-rounded. And I really did make the cast diverse. Diversity was very important to me writing this novella.
Are you a plotter or a pantser?
Plantser in between. For the most part, I am a pantser, but once I get going, I will work out an outline in my head, then I will write it down, but I rarely follow the outline. The characters just tell me to F off.
Okay, so what do you see as like one of the biggest advantages of being a pantser rather than just straight plotting or straight pantsing?
Because my biggest pet peeve in television shows, especially, is when you can tell the writers are trying to force their characters in a box instead of letting them grow organically. So I will allow my characters to take the wheel if so I could plan for a character death, but if it doesn't feel right, then I'm going to go with whatever my instincts are telling me for that character. And then either I'll eventually kill them off or I won't, but I'm not going to force it because the readers can tell when it is forced.
Well, then I'm very glad we don't have you for the for our panel with the plotters versus pantsers, because you would go in ready to fight.
I would be somewhere in the middle. I'd be eating my popcorn. Like the
Okay,
true Gemini I am, I could take both sides of the issue. I'm good.
that's why you were a pantser.
Sorry.
I missed all of that because of this dude back here. So
Yeah. Okay. Let's just pretend that the guy in the room doesn't exist and continue. Do you actually get a much chance to write alone? Because I know you have your family with you and everything, but like when you get
God,
into
it's like
the
an
writing,
effing village. Yes, I do. I will. What I like to do, I will get in my car. I will go to a park with a lake. I love to be around lakes, and I will just sit there in my car, in front of the water. Sometimes I'll get out of my car, but I like to write around the water. I really love that. It's very quiet. It's very peaceful. It's very calming, and I like that.
and
It
there's
feels
somebody in your ear.
yes. There are no children. Mom. Dude,
Usually, if I get into certain writing mode and I need to write, I'll go get my headphones and pop them on, and the kids. And I swear I have to get a sticker that says the headphones are on, do not disturb, because the
oh
kids
no,
will.
my kids don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. It's just
No.
mom.
But
It's like those Garfield cartoons. They just poke you, poke. Oh my God, go away.
I believe people don't really understand that we writers need to get into a certain zone in order to create.
Yes, yes. Um, my husband learned a long time ago in 2018 that it is dangerous to disturb me when I am writing. I don't know where this danger came from. I just know that I wrote an 80,000 word book in 38 days. And I guess I posted about it on Facebook or something because my husband pokes his head in the door. It's like, can I come in now?
Does he
And
still
I'm
have the
like,
scars?
he has no scars. He's fine. He's a tough boy.
Okay, oh, good. They all healed up. Perfect.
But it's like I would go home from work. Like I was writing in my car. It was like being on crack or something. Like right in my car on my breaks. I would write before I go into work, after I leave work, and I would go home, make sure the kids and my ferrets were fed. Then I would lock the door to my room. I would go write some more. And I guess I did this for 30 days. And my husband's just like, can I come into our room yet? Is it safe?
I would love to see you during NaNoWriMo.
It depends on the year and it depends on what I have going on.
Well, have you ever done NaNoWriMo?
I've done it for 3 years. I missed it this last year. I was at 40K, but I had a lot going on last year. And
Right.
then the year before I did it, I actually made my goal. And the year before that, I think I missed it by 2,000 words.
Ah. Well, just so everyone knows, NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month, and happens every year in November. I first did it back in 2008, and I intermittently tried to go back and try to finish a novel, but you can find a lot of Wattpadders actually engaging with NaNoWriMo and just trying to get so many words out during that time. I think
Yes,
that was one of the things
true.
that you did as well.
Yes, I think I did pretty good last year considering like I was working and people in my family had COVID. I have my kids. My ferret passed away in November, so It was just a lot going on, but I think I did pretty well to make it to 40,000 words before I had to throw in the towel. But I like Nano because it's not the time for editing. I always tell people just don't edit while you're writing that first draft. Just get it all out. Everybody's going to have that raging dumpster fire of a first draft. You can put it out once you go back for edits. So go ahead.
I think some people will actually go and write, and this is something that Wattpad has been encouraging to go and write for Nano and post it on Wattpad, and
Yeah.
the readers will absolutely love it. They don't care that it's not perfect or that everything isn't fully developed and everything. They just care that they're getting more to read.
Yes, this is very true. And, you have to put your brain away for Nano because I think people go in there with all these high expectations, but it's Nano. So you just want to support these other writers because you know the hell it is to go in, just word vomit 50,000 words and just pray that it is not terrible. So yes, you do have to put your brain away a little bit for that because there are going to be mistakes, there are going to be inconsistencies, and you have to remember that this is a first draft.
Yeah, and it's just about literally just getting the words out and writing as much story as you can. You can always edit later. That's what December's for. Well, actually, it's January because December's for sleeping.
That too. Hibernating.
Well, it can get very intense after Nano. You're just like drained. 30 days of going constantly writing. Yeah, it's insane.
Yes.
Okay, so you talked about your next book. Do you have any plans beyond that?
I am contracted for a 3-book series through Champagne Books. Thank you. It's for the Arcana series. The first book is Queen of Water. That's my pain in the butt I told you about. I have to go back and rewrite the entire first half. I don't actually have to, but I did propose those changes based on the feedback I received. So that has been a little bit stressful, but the book is more dynamic. It is stronger. And after I finish this, I am going to go on and finish Six of Air and Night of Fire. Night of Fire was a shortlister. It made honorable mention in Open Novella Contest of 2020. It was basically a retelling of the Divine Comedy, and I had to squeeze that into 40,000 words. So what'll be fun about this, though, since it's part of the series, is I get to expand it into 80,000 words or more, which is going to be a lot of fun. I loved writing that story. That was one of my favorites.
Well, there's quite nothing like being able to add more words and add more life to your characters and build that.
Right? Usually they want you to cut, and in this case, I get to expand. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, virtual high five to you. Okay, yeah, we'll leave it hanging. Okay, tell us where we can find you on social media and on Wattpad.
Okay, well, my Facebook is off limits, but you can always find me on Twitter under Cadence. You can find me on Instagram under Cadence. Same for Wattpad. Also, my website, KristiElliot.com. I need to develop it a little bit more, but it's a work in progress. Lots of love put in there, so always visit there. I've got a 20-minute long commentary on my thoughts on Titanic because I was high one day when I was watching it and decided that would be a good idea to sit through it for 3 hours and make a commentary.
Okay, so to exit this, what are some words of advice you would give to any new writer coming into Wattpad, and what is the biggest takeaway they can have about taking their writing journey?
Well, I think the journey is different for everybody, but the important thing is you can't go in there with all these high expectations. I mean, definitely dream big, but don't go in there and expect to get all these reads right away. And on that note, don't just plug yourself into other people's walls, but actually, engage with other people. I'm not saying do a full read for read or anything, but you're only going to get what you give. So if you give nothing, you're going to get nothing back, essentially. I mean, don't go in there with all these entitled expectations, but actually be prepared to do the work, be prepared to engage, be prepared to sometimes feel let down, because it does feel like you're alone sometimes, but you're not. It's just a matter of finding the right group, the right support system. And a good way to do that is to look at the verified profiles that Wattpad has that's run by the Ambassador program. Look at those major genre profiles, and you'll find a lot of writers on those profiles. That's how I found them when I started out in 2018. I've made some really good friends on the platform. I made a lot of friends through open novella contests, so I definitely recommend checking those out.
Okay, brilliant. Well, Kristi, thank you once again for joining us. Some great words for the new writers coming up, and just starting their journey. Like I said, thanks for joining us. You can find Kristi on social media at Cadence, on Twitter, Wattpad, Instagram. Just pretty much look her up. Once again, KristiElliot.com. Links will be in the description. Okay, so thank you, Kristi, and say bye.
Bye.
For WritersConnect, I am, and I still was, and will always be Rodney V. Smith. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you in the next one.